Hey guys, it's Matt popping in quickly for the righteous truthers that will immediately start leaving comments. And those that say, oh, you watch the NFL. This video is not about the NFL. This is a reality discussion where we notice what reality and the dark reality not milk does. Sports is part of reality, right? So we use sports as an example to determine what reality is doing in many different places and areas.
It does look so suspicious at times. It really does. It looks wild. It makes a lot of people believe that it is akin to the WWE. A simple preseason NFL graphic is the latest evidence for conspiracy theorist fans who believe the league scripts its season far in advance.
We'll start our discussion with a very simple question posed to you. Does the dark reality or not milk make mistakes on purpose in order to be noticed? I'll wait 5 seconds for your answer. Of course it does. Even though there's some first through fifth grade truthers here that try to dig in and say, Matt, they'd like to get better. Crisis, catastrophe, thespian, reporter, actors. They'd like to get better, but this is the best they can get. I agree, Matt. They're idiots. This is the best they can get. No, it's to get our attention. The idiocracy, I can't say it. This is Mike. This is my buddy. Rather than Jason Jason Aldean, my buddy, took 3 to chest, and then we knew it was for real. Okay, it makes mistakes on purpose. 100% of the old guard sees that. Okay, so it does this not just with the bang and the mall events and the school events. It does this all over the place, and it's doing it in the NFL right now. Here's the graphic everybody's in an uproar over. A representative player from each team is facing Santa Clara and the future site of the Super Bowl. And all the way up front, they have the two starting quarterbacks. If you look very closely, we'll zoom in here. Thank you, Black and White Sports. They have the two starting quarterbacks in the upcoming Super Bowl in 2 weeks in Santa Clara, which is just south of San Francisco, standing up front from the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. And everybody's in an uproar. Now let's start again with the absolute basics. Going back to the conspiracies that you would say we grew up with at mall events and school events and idiotic crisis catastrophe thespian reporters, why does the not milk make mistakes on purpose? An end in and of itself? Of course not. To get your attention, to get the attention of certain groups that will be sucked into the conspiracy aspect of what's going on. They're doing the same thing with a huge segment of the masses that believe the NFL is scripted. They will script it and rig it, not because they're trying, oh, Vegas needs this and Vegas and money, money, money. No, 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 no. That is first grade idiocracy. That is absurd. They in some cases are scripting it and rigging it or making calls look a little fishy or making this look a little weird or making this poster where the two starting quarterbacks are the closest to the Super Bowl trophy. They're doing this on purpose. In a way, it is scripted and rigged. In a way, not in the way the first grade truthers think it is, in order to get the attention of those that will then run with conspiracy. And why does it do that? Well, it does that for several reasons. One, of course, is energy harvesting, loosh, but the not milk, as we've talked about, doesn't do anything for any one reason. It gets 2, 3, 4, sometimes even 5 outcomes out of what it does. It's an evil genius. Okay, guys, we'll explore that topic in more detail in just a few minutes. To the righteous truthers, again, it's not about the NFL. It's about noticing what the asshole dark does and its tactics that it employs in all facets of society in order to suck in certain groups, in this case, to actually chase the conspiracy. Yes, it wants the conspiracy aspect. It wants the strange anomalies to be noticed. It wants the type of reporting that Black and White Sports is doing. It's calling attention to itself. And it does this in other ways, even with horrible calls on the field, with plays that seem completely rigged and staged, where a defender seems to run right by. It does this to call attention to itself. It's the opposite of what the first grade truther typically believes, that it's trying to, because of Vegas, oh, money, the Vegas, trying to rig everything, which makes no sense. The not milk doesn't need a penny. It creates the money. Okay. It's trying to get, they think they're trying to get away with it. and we're catching them. This is what the first grade through fifth grade truther thinks, that we're calling them out. Oh, look at this! They did. Look what I noticed. They wanted to get away with it, but I caught them. And that's not how this dark reality does business. When when it puts something out that's utterly ridiculous and that people notice, like a Super Bowl poster in this case, or some whatever it may be, a defender flying right by a receiver. That doesn't happen that much on the field, but when something weird happens, it wants to be noticed. The old guard truthers, they know this, and they've observed this in hundreds of different places across every single aspect of society. It's not trying to get away with it. That's the first mistake these kindergartners make. Now, we'll get into that in just a moment. 1 minute or less. Thank you for your emails about me. Yes, I'm connected again. Everything here is good. The last 2 days, though, have been very difficult. Very difficult. I want to talk, hopefully in this video, I gave a good sized presentation about a week ago about my take, which I thought was very simple, what the Knot was trying to do regarding primate change and global charming. Now, most of that presentation was about their modeling. They know that what sort of weather events are going to occur on Earth. Their modeling gets ahead of it. They know it's coming. They know it will be different than the weather we knew, say, in the last century. So they'll blame it on the actions of man and pollution in factories. And they'll implement more controls, more statute, ordinance, regulation, control, etc. Now, I didn't mean, even though that's what most of the presentation was about, I didn't mean to imply that there is no, let's just say, manipulated weather. Of course, even in that presentation, remember, I did talk about Hurricane Harvey, how strange or impossible it was for something to move from Africa, off the coast of Africa, at 40 to 50 miles an hour, right off the coast and be half in the water, half on land. I did talk about Hurricane Harvey, but most of my presentation was not about the manipulation. So I want to make sure I'm clear that it's both. Okay, the Earth will change naturally. The Knot gets ahead of it. Their models predict it out 10 years, and these are the models that they don't give the local news and weathercasters, etc. They know there will be some big changes, and they'll blame it on the actions of, quote, man, so they can implement more controls. Didn't want it to be one-sided. There's still manipulation, okay? Remember, in that video, I did talk about the impossibility of Hurricane Harvey as the example. But I could see the people that hear what they want to hear will run and say, Matt doesn't think there's any manipulation. Okay, back to the weather event. I'm going to get back to this NFL thing, and we look at the Knot tactics. But since, we're right in the middle of this deep freeze, the weather event was just strange. Okay, I'm not, let's just put it like that. They are, I don't know how to, I say they, guys, and I just have to talk about it in a certain way. You know my thoughts on this. They are refining their ability to manipulate. I don't believe it's possible for, how do you have a storm that goes, 2,000 miles? What the tip of it was in Buffalo, and the other tip was in Texas, close to New Mexico, or down by the Mexico border, or 2,000 miles or so. I don't know. Whatever it is, 1,500 miles of storm. Well, where's it getting its energy? Where is it getting its precipitation? You can understand a hurricane as it draws up an unlimited amount of water from warm waters and ocean. You can understand that. Its energy is right beneath it in the oceans, or the but this across the country, this sort of, where is it getting hundreds of billions of gallons of water? I don't know, but this thing, we got, okay, sorry, I'm over my minute. We got lucky but it was tough. It was rough. We got, I don't know, 10, 12 inches of snow, which when it was, and it was 12, 14 degrees, it was bitter cold, so it was fluffy. And you had to go out during it. 30 seconds, I apologize. You had to move it when it was fluffy. Those that waited are just finished. Those that wait, because the sleet and a little bit of freezing rain here and the sleet and the ice on top were many parts of it. Now you can walk on top of it. It's the way I describe it in some cases. It's like a granite countertop, a granite kitchen countertop over 12 inches of snow. It's just, if you didn't move it when it was fluffy, people are just screwed. And it's going to be, the lows, at least right here, are below zero towards the end of the week. It will not melt. So it's just very strange. You have this 1,500 mile storm, and I know that the South got it worse because they got whenever you get the freezing rain and the ice and the power lines, we got mostly fluffy snow before that granite countertop came on top. We got 4 or 5 hours of sleet at the end, but we got lucky regarding electrical outages and things like that. The South, or areas south of here, much, 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 much worse. But then to have this deep freeze, a deep freeze, we are not Minnesota here in Pennsylvania. We are not New Hampshire or Vermont or Montreal, which is a whole new level. Maine is a different level. Montana, North Dakota. It just doesn't get. We get cold snaps down to close to 0 Fahrenheit, not Celsius, Fahrenheit. But it's this cold snaps are 2 or 3 days, or 0, not 10 days where there's no end in sight on the cold snap. It just, I'm sorry to go too long, guys. It just feels unnatural, put it that way. Guys, I wanted to talk to you about this. It's somewhat related. If I don't do it now, I'll never do it. It's somewhat related to what we're talking about. The big weather person in the Philadelphia area, oh boy, she's been here 20 years at least. Cecily Tynan, 6 WPVI Action News, been around forever. Now, what she said, not regarding this current storm, but she did this about 7 or 8 or 9 days ago, and I thought it was very strange. It was a very slow weather day, and they didn't know what was coming, all the hype regarding this, the last storm. And it was a slow weather day. She had to kill time. So she's saying, let's revisit the superstorm of 1978 or the blizzard of, I think it was the 70s, I think she said. It doesn't really matter. Saying, here's what combined with this, and here's what the date was, and anybody old enough to remember, and it dumped 20-some inches on Philadelphia. And what she said next, I found very strange at the time when I was trying to get the weather, and extremely strange considering what's happening now. She basically said, well, what happened in the 70s and 80s? Really, it's not going to happen much now because it's so warm. She said, these types of weather events will be so rare in the future because now it's so warm. And of course, I'm rolling my eyes thinking she's trying to push the warming. And is it primate change or is it charming? Is it change or charming? Is it warm or cold? So I'm saying, first off, what is she talking about? Because we just had the coldest December we've had in 12 or 14 years. We just had a bitter cold December. What is she talking about? These major snow events, unlikely in the future because it's been so warm. Well, then a week later, we get a major snow event, not the 20-some inches or the nor'easters we sometimes get, where I've got 28 inches here before, but we have a deep freeze, the likes of which I've never seen. 2-3 days of bitter, not 10 to 12 deep freeze, not in Pennsylvania. And the people in the South are saying it doesn't happen here either. So it's just weird with her little presentation. With the 4 days of normal weather in between the freezing cold December and the deep freeze that was coming, which proves she had no modeling for it. The National Weather Service, that Dr. Theopolis and Tweaky hadn't shared the information with the local weathercasters. She had no idea the deep freeze that was coming, and she's trying to push global charming or warming. What the hell's going on? It was really weird. Matt, most people would lose their jobs over. She's a staple around here in Philadelphia. Unfortunately, she's not going to lose her job unless she basically stands on her head and calls for Christmas in July. Here's a headline to slowly transition us back into the topic we were originally talking about. Another absolute joke here. Shedeur Sanders added to the Pro Bowl roster per reports. I guess because his name's May for the New England Patriots. He's going to play in the Super Bowl, so he won't be out at the Pro Bowl in Hawaii because he's going to play in the Super Bowl, which is after. So then there has to be a substitute that goes. Browns quarterback Shedeur Sanders named AFC Pro Bowl replacement. I mean, look, it's all about creating controversy. The whole Deion Sanders script for the last 10 years, and we can learn about reality itself here, guys. Not that I'm turning this off and talking about the NFL, I'm turning this off. No, we learn about reality itself. This is fascinating, folks. The whole Deion Sanders hoopla, the whole family is participating in a gigantic not milk script to harvest loosh energy. And that's at the absolute minimum. Of course, it gets 2, 3, 4 things out of everything that it does. I haven't thought about it. What else is it getting out of the whole Deion Sanders script? And the hoopla regarding Deion getting into coaching at the University of Colorado was so ridiculously overhyped. The guy had achieved nothing. He was a clown. And then it filtered the whole energy harvesting thing or whatever else they're up to. Not milk. It's not secret societies and back rooms. It's not milk. First and foremost, it's a frequency. It filtered down to the son, Shedeur Sanders, by association. And he, of course, not just from the draft, creates controversy all year. Had a few bad games where I saw videos pop up. Shedeur Sanders is finished. He's finished. Well, then now he's going to the Pro Bowl. So all those that made the video saying he's finished, but he's going to the Pro Bowl. He obviously doesn't deserve the Pro Bowl. This is an absolute joke. But again, what is it trying to do? Its tactics here are so basic to draw people into the conspiracy, the loosh harvesting, the controversy, getting people angry and upset. Okay, we know that. Yeah, Dad, you told us. We know it does that. But what really is going on here related to, the whole rigging of the NFL regarding predicting who would be in the Super Bowl, etc. But before we get to that, one of the most fascinating parts here, if you look at just the Deion Sanders family, how this reality works, where everything, especially if you're on the frequency, everything plays out the way the not milk wants without hardly anybody being in on it. Again, the first grade truther through fifth grade truther just can't get their head around this. They think that Deion these morons, they think they know everything that's going on. If there's going to be a script, they're handed their cue cards, they know their role. And no, there's no way, especially when you get into professional sports, there's no way the highest level conspiracies in this world are trusted to a group of morons. I mean, I push back at the truth community about how many secret societies, and they're all in on it. And then you have the Skull and Bones, and you have the Council of Rome, and the 300, the Council of 300, and then in the Utopia British series, TV series, you have TV secret societies like the Network, and there's this dark rooms that run everything. Okay, you know how impossible I've said that would be. Well, these people are supposed to be the smartest of the smart. The ancient families have been running things for thousands of years. I'm saying that's even next to impossible for that to be pulled off and everything that they scheme. Now, the first grade truther thinks that all the idiots running around on different ball playing fields, sports play with your balls fields, football, baseball, basketball, they're all in on it. They know the ball's magnetic. I mean, give me a break. What's so incredible to notice about how this reality works, and this is how it works, folks, and it's an amazing revelation, and you can end a lot of the conspiracy once you see it for what it is. It is all a script playing out how the not milk wants, with next to nobody being in on it. That's why it's a frequency and a download. Deion Sanders didn't get secret orders about the role he's going to play in Shedeur. They play their role believing in their own greatness. That is its genius. And if it happens at the NFL level, then it does, in this case, filter up. Even people in the Trilateral Commission and the Club of this and the Rome and the 300 and the Council on Foreign Relations and the Bow Grove, and even, they're all in on it. Most or 99 point whatever percent are not. They're simply carrying out the wishes of what we call not milk on a frequency. Almost nobody's in on it here. That's what the first grade truther cannot wrap their head around. So let's get back to what we were talking about in the beginning. Again, there was this poster before the season started, not last week, supposedly before the season started, where the two closest to the Super Bowl trophy, very small up front, the two starting quarterbacks for the upcoming Super Bowl, the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. Now, this is just one thing amongst hundreds and hundreds of things over the last few seasons to get people's attention so they start to believe it's manipulated, fixed, rigged, etc. Any of the first grade truthers still out there, and that you might want me to repeat that. You say, so wait a second, wait. You're saying almost like they want to be noticed. Yeah, of course that's what I'm saying. The old guard's like going to sleep. They're like, Matt, we know this. I know. I'm glad you're still here. It wants to be noticed. The thing that's interesting is to try to determine why and what is its final outcome. And maybe we'll get to that in this video, maybe we won't. But let's just, if I'm not convincing anybody, when you go back to the absolute basics, anybody should be able to see this. I mean, it's really simple. So this is a poster before the season started, and the conspiracy and these videos popping up. Oh, they have to show you. They have to show you the starting two quarterbacks are closest to the trophy, and well, let's just put it. Why would they do that? What do they have to gain at the level that the first grade truther or the guy or girl down the road here is starting to believe that the NFL is rigged and fixed, but doesn't see the 7-Eleven job application the way we do, doesn't see not milk, doesn't see most of the things that we do, thinks they're voting for real presidents, things like that. But people, the guy and girl down the road are starting to believe that the NFL's rigged and fixed. Well, why would they, if it is completely scripted and they knew the New England Patriots were going to go up against the Seattle Seahawks, the simple question, why would they do this? What would anybody say? I mean, why would they do it? Why would they give it away? And of course, we know why it's being done, to get people to believe it's rigged, to get people on the conspiracy bandwagon. It's back to Mike, remember, from Las Vegas. My buddy. It's back to mistakes on purpose, of course. All mistakes on purpose have only one, there's only one reason for doing any of that: to get people's attention, which they get a temporary louche boost juice, but then to suck them into the conspiracy side. Without that aspect, which, the person down the road that's noticing that the NFL is fixed and rigged, they're not going to jump on and see the conspiracy in the world and the scripted reality that we do. But what would they say? Well, why do they have this in the poster? And they would come up with bullshit, lame first grade excuses. They would say, well, maybe if they're closer to third grade conspiracy, they have to show you, for karma. That's all bullshit. All that predictive programming, they have to show you for karma. Bullshit. It's to suck you in. It's to get your attention, to get more people involved in the conspiracy. They have to show us, Matt. It's karma. Oh, come on. Give me a break. So some would say they have to show us. Some would say, it's a tip-off. So they would come up with the biggest bunch of bullshit, first grade kindergarten crap. They're tipping off Vegas here, Matt, so the right bets can be made so they can make money. When the not milk, what we call not milk, never doesn't need money. It doesn't do one thing in this world. It hasn't done one thing in this world for 100 years and won't do one thing in this world for the next 10,000 for money. Doesn't need it. Of course, that's not for money. It's not Vegas. The truther that brings in Vegas, that is the idiotic. I mean, you've got to be kidding me. At that level, fine. They have to reward their middle-level managers and those that run around on the ground and do what Not Milk wants, and money has to flow here and rewards have to flow there. But we're interested here at reality itself, the spiritual adversary, the highest level of the org chart. I'm not going to go down into the weeds and see what Vegas is being rewarded with. You serve your master well, Vegas, and you will be rewarded. Okay, fine, whatever. I've talked about how most sports bettors, in my opinion, most are up a bit to keep their attention, if they all lost their shirt in the first week or two, there'd be nothing left. They're actually kept in the black a bit. They're kept up a bit to keep their attention. In other words, not the house always wins. With sports betting, no, just the opposite. The sports betting is set up so the players on average win. Oh, Matt, I can tell you about my brother-in-law that lost everything. Well, of course there's going to be those sorts of stories. Dwayne from What's Happening that bet everything because of the color of the helmet. There's going to be these stories, of course, where everybody, if you put you got your mortgage set up, but you're going to buy that house in Tennessee, and you put it all on the Patriots or whatever game you bet on during the season, and you lose, you lose. The not-no can't step in and say, I'd like to refund your $10,000. Some people will lose it, but overall, especially those that do a bunch of parlays and spread their risk around, like hedging their bets, etc., will overall be up, in my opinion. The not-no wants more winners than losers, so the interest in the sports betting stays high. Now that's the craziest thing of all time to a first grade truth or anybody stumbling upon this. But any of the old guards going, of course it would. The attention and getting people involved in it and their energy, of course, is millions of times more important to not-no than losing money. I mean, having the sports better win. In fact, it's not millions of times more, it's an infinite times more, because the not-no doesn't need money. Okay, last segment here to wrap up with this poster. Of course, 9 out of 10 people on the street and your friends and family, 9 out of 10 will believe, of course, just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence, Matt. They've got to put 2 players closest, and it just happens, of course. That's not what this poster is designed to do. It's designed to pique the interest of those that would be open to conspiracy, that are starting to see that it could be rigged or manipulated. Their friends are talking about it, and they're open to the idea. That's what this poster's designed to do, to draw people into the conspiracy. Therefore, all the idiot reasons the first grade truther or those down the street that are starting to dabble in the conspiracy would say why those 2 players were put up front for Vegas, all bullshit. It's actually there. It's like mistakes on purpose. It's there to be noticed. They want videos made about this, not accomplishing, hopefully, but we're trying to accomplish, seeing through what the dark reality is out to do to spiritual beings, but to get more people at the lower levels sucked into the conspiracy. Therefore, when you watch the NFL, if the 5 of you that do, I'll be watching the Super Bowl. What else am I going to do? When you see a defensive back run right by, or right by the receiver, or some weird or horrible calls, or somebody feather touches Patrick Mahomes' helmet and they call a 15-yard roughing penalty. When you see weird things and that are really, really blatant, overall, the NFL, it's designed to get more people thinking that it's rigged. It's the opposite of trying to get away with it. It needs to do it in a way where it's believable. It always operates, this is again Goldilocks. No real world could keep behaving like Goldilocks reality, where your friends and family that are never into any conspiracy, and it's Lee Harvey Oswald did it, Matt, the defensive back just missed the play, or that any ref can make a bad call. You conspiracy people think everything's rigged, and it's always right down the middle. Now, I know it's drawing more people into the conspiracy, and it's making the mistakes on purpose and putting posters out like this and doing other things with Super Bowl colors so people think those are the 2 teams that are going to be chosen. It's doing more things like that to draw more people into the conspiracy. But it knows it's right down the middle. It never goes too far. It will never have my friend Tony or your Aunt Ginny or whatever saying, now I see it. Now I see how it's all scripted. It never makes a major mistake, which is impossible. Why doesn't the 1st through 5th grade truther notice that it has never made a major mistake so the people, your Aunt Ginny and your cousins and the people down the road wake up to it? Now, Matt, leaving a passport at the bottom of it, yeah, I understand that should be impossible. Everybody should be able to see through that, an inflated tire. But yet it knows what it can put out where the masses will not ever come to our side. No real world could pull that off. No back smoking room for secret society assholes could pull that off. Okay, let's finish with the poster. This is just, okay, if this isn't the biggest thing in the world, but the NFL over the last 5 years has shown those willing to be open to the fact that it is WWE. It's shown those people enough where now they're starting to talk about that it's WWE and it's scripted and outcomes are planned. It wants people talking about that, and it in terms of being exposed, it wants to be exposed by those people. It didn't make any mistakes. That's the key takeaway. It doesn't make mistakes, the Goldilocks reality. It always plays right down the middle, very similar to a Mandela effect plays down the middle. Okay, to close, we will discuss, and I'll look to your comments, why does the not milk, which is the NFL itself, of course, they're all one and the same, just a tentacle, why does the NFL or / not milk want to call attention to itself that there's all sorts of problems, rigging, manipulation, the whole Vegas thing with scandals and betting? It's in general, you could just talk about it as wanting to call attention to itself that there are a host of problems. And of course, it is the truther's interpretation of Hegelian dialectic, which isn't really problem, reaction, solution, but the truthers took that over, and I like the way, how we talk about it in terms of what not milk is up to is very accurate. It's always, all three aspects are put forth by not milk. Problem, there's manipulation, rigging, there's corruption. Okay, reaction, it has to be fixed. Well, I haven't really thought about it much, but to me, the AI could be positioned to save the day. The AI could be the savior in all this, as the NFL continues to call attention to itself, but right in Goldilocks fashion. I say 9 out of 10, but you know what I mean. I mean, it's more than that. Accept the NFL for what it is, are looking forward to the Super Bowl. Still, only a small percentage see the conspiracy or the potential rigging, although you see it's gaining ground. Even those that don't watch these sorts of videos, you've seen videos pop up about this is rigged, or now the betting scandals get more people with Vegas involved in the betting and the manipulation by referees, getting more people to think there's corruption across the board. So that it's very patient. It's growing that, and it's always test the human, retest, test to see who's being sucked in and what type of bait to put on the hook. And I don't know how long or what its plan is on this. I do know that the mistakes are on purpose. If it makes a poster, it wants to be noticed. If it makes a horrible officiating call, it wants to be noticed. Whether that official got something in his ear or is just on the frequency, let's just table that for another time. But if people will do anything at the end of the day, so they don't want to lose their precious NFL. And if the corruption, potential rigging, too many cousins at the Thanksgiving Day table are talking about fake and rigged and manipulated and in Vegas and it's all for money, and then I don't know, maybe 10 years from now, I don't know. The not milk is doing this for a reason. If you're the first grade truther and you just think they're trying to cover it all up and we're exposing them, look, we caught them. Oh, we got them this time, Matt. No, we're exposing them. They put that poster out and they didn't want people to notice. I mean, come on. Nobody here thinks that. They wouldn't even put the poster out if they're trying to get away with anything. God, my God. It's so frustrating. They want to be noticed. Of course, the poster and things like that proves it. So, okay. It's very patient too. I haven't thought, sat here, like the thinker with the thinker that makes no sense. Like the damn, first off, it was, what was it? It was always at the head. First off, it's like the damn, nobody can even, over 40, can even put their damn elbow on their left. How do you put the right elbow on the left? Who sits like that? I can't even fucking do that. I'm so twisted up from all the damn shoveling and ice and shit. Sorry. The thinker is a Mandela effect because nobody would, you don't think like that. I might as well just shove my arm behind my, sorry. The AI. Oh, yes. You know what? The official, even when they look at the replay, the officials in New York, these idiots, they get it wrong. And now there'll be more scandals. Officials in New York drunk or taking drugs. And, when they go to the replay and it's in New York and they look at all they'll be like certain airline pilots. It'll be scandal, more scandal. Do you sense, let's just start with this. Do you sense that more scandal will be coming with the NFL or less? You think it's just all going to quiet down? Is that how the not milk typically does business? No, there'll be more potential problems, more corruption, more scandals. And then at some point, again, I haven't thought it through, but this is all I have right now. The AI will take over everything, every call on the field. See, the AI has analyzed over 1 million holding calls and what's considered a good holding call versus a bad. The AI knows, and the AI is watching every player. And the AI knows if the person stepped out, and it'll be perfect. The AI knows that the AI knows if that ball squirted out, because the AI can, and it's all AI now. There's no more officials, and they'll do the same. It'll take a long time for the umpires in baseball, and it's very patient. The technology will completely take over the beloved sports, every aspect, because it'll be the people on the script will show the humans participating in it will show that they're just not good enough without ever getting any secret orders. Maybe a few here and there are in on it, or they get something in their ear, but make that pass interference call. Of course, but in terms of the number of people in on it, it's very small, very, very, very tiny compared to what the first grade truther believes. And this is a microcosm of how all the reality works. Who has any understanding of how the reality works in the U.S. Senate or the House of Representatives? Very, 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 very few. A micro amount compared to what the first grade truther believes. You could go into most secret societies, I'm sure, and just knock on the, hello, I'm Matt. Have you ever watched Quantum of Conscious? You son of a beach. I could go in there and interview. They wouldn't have a clue. I don't know where the local lodge is down here. Is it the Flintstone Moose Lodge or something? I have no idea. But if I went in, do I think there'd be one person in there that has a clue as to how this reality works? Some secret society? No. I don't want to, who knows how far, where on the org chart somebody starts to get a clue, or what's considered a back room, or who knows? What does George Soros know? To me, the idiots that appear on television, like Melvin P. of the Melvin P. and Belinda Gates Foundation, are those idiots on TV. If you know the face, like George Soros, they're downloaded people. They're weird entities. They're potential sequential incarnations. If they're sequential incarnations, according to Tony, they do have an understanding of what their dark role is here. Let's table that for another time. But most know far less, or 99% less, than what the first grade truther believes. So there'll be a few really major things in the NFL over the next few years. It'll get worse. And does anybody think it's just going to go quiet? No. More scandal. And then, I don't know, 5 to 10 years from now, I have no idea. The AI will take over everything. And then that just has the AI entrenched in one absolute, from its perspective, pillar of society, the major sport in the West, or other than what we call soccer. Here we call it soccer. The Europeans don't like that. It's football. It'll be entrenched, the AI, and then that moves the masses just one little micro step closer to the digital world. That is its ultimate tactic when you go up in your hot air balloon. What is its ultimate tactic in terms of all the resources it has to work with to move the human towards the digital world, where maybe it will Horcrux off its own soul when it takes the brain chip? Who knows? But it's very patient. It's extremely patient. It operates over generations, not in terms of years or even decades. That's why the first grade truthers that spend too much time, Agenda 2021, Agenda 2030. Oh, we're getting close. Let's see does it have the bike lanes and the bike paths and the places where the humans are cordoned off and the animals can roam free. Well, actually, overall, it's bike paths and places for nature. That's what the truthers got their back up. Oh, sounds pretty good. Thanks a lot. Sounds pretty good to me. You want to take huge parts of the country where there can be no humans invading with campsites and fine by me. But you want to put them all like it's breaking down. It's breaking down. You want to put them all in gigantic overcrowded cities like, what was it, Soylent Green? The Scoops, the Scoops, Soylent Green is so good. It's broken down. Yeah, it's broken down. The Scoops come into these trash trucks and they just scoop up humans and throw them in the Scoops. They break out the Scoops. But something comes over the loudspeaker. The Scoops. Oh boy, Charlton Heston. They're all dirty cops. He's a little less dirty than most, but he's dirty. Goes in to investigate a murder in a rich. There's this elite class, and they still have running water, and they still have meat. Every once in a while, once a week, they can get a steak. Where even as a police officer living with Edwin G. Robinson, his name, they have to get on a bike to pedal for their electricity. and they have little wafers, Soylent Green and Soylent Red and Soylent Blue. And if he steals some stuff from the rich person's apartment, and you get this is like the lower level elite, not even the top of the top, because it's like a very large condominium. Steal some whiskey and a tomato and a little bit of lettuce and a little cut of meat, and they share it. And they haven't had it for 10 years, like a taste of real tuna fish. It's one of my favorite scenes, and it helps. It does help. I do that a lot. I mean, you go out to your Wegman. We have Pam used to accuse me, call it Wegmans. Do you go into Wegmans? You just these aisles and aisles of endless cakes and meats. And if you brought somebody from certain parts of sub-Saharan Africa, and let me show you this. Say, what? They just drop over. Like, what? This can't be real. Oh, sometimes I do, and I'm just like. And I do, the appreciation of just even the small things, what's available even at a Wawa in terms of the food choices, and the appreciation is lost on 99%, and try to hold on to that. Even like we've talked about, getting into the hot shower, and people, I'd said this years and years ago, and people still come back to me with this, and they said, Matt, that's kind of stuck with me, saying. I'm right now just almost anybody, and I know there's people here that live in their van and live in the cars, and I know there's a good friend of the channel who lives mostly on and off in shelters. Haven't heard from him for a while. I hope he's okay. I hope he checks in. But just getting into, most people can get into a shower, and just saying what I'm doing now. The kings and queens couldn't even do. Not that you should stay in there all day like Kramer of Seinfeld, but just a little to go into a Wawa. We have to live every day like this. Wawa has this big cupboard of donuts that they pack every day. Every single kind of donut, eclair behind the glass case. Can I get that shrimp I saw behind the glass case in Tommy Boy? And you could get a glazed or a twisted glaze or cream filled, and they're all fresh from that morning. And there's no king or queen in the world. You could force the slave labor pastry chef down in the basement or somewhere. Wake that son of a bitch up down there in Downton Abbey, which I couldn't get through the first. I like the Gilded Age, but this is completely. Anybody want to shoot the shit? What else? Why not? The Gilded Age I loved. I think it was all about liking the characters. If you're interested in the characters and what they're saying, and you like them, then you like the show. Downton Abbey. It's not Downton. It's Philly, Matt. In Philly, it's $50. From the first episode, I just I like the Gilded Age. This is just awful. I turned it off. I don't need to see Elizabeth McGovern like hunched over in a chair bitching about something. So they ring the little bell. They ring the little bell. Ding 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 ding. And the servants. Oh, that's for me. I serve that son of a bitch. That's right. You serve the daughter. You serve that son of a bitch. So she wants her morning raisins and shit. So they get up, each servant for them, and. There's similar things, I guess, in the Gilded Age. But the point is, even the king, imagine what a king or an emperor would have. It still would be just ringing the bell for some son of a bitch in the basement. And that son of a bitch in the basement couldn't produce, the point, see, I'm tying it all together. Usually I just move on. Couldn't produce the amount of donuts and eclairs that Wawa is serving up you every single morning.